All right, now call to order the Tuesday, April 4th, 2017 meeting of the Iredell County Board of Commissioners. At this time, I'd ask you to please bow your head in silent prayer or reflection. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We have a young Boy Scout with us today, Colton Sterling from Troop 609 at 1st ARP. I believe Jim Nixon is the Scoutmaster there, and if you'll please. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good job. Thank you, Colton. All right. At this time, Mr. Smith, are there any adjustments to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, there are no adjustments, but I will make an announcement. At our last meeting, there was a call for a public hearing on this date for Project Sparrow, an economic development project. However, that's going to be moved to 2 weeks from today, so it'll be on April 18th.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. There are no awards this evening or special recognitions, but we do have an ordinary special recognition, I suppose. We have with us the Sheriff of Iredell County. Good to see you, Sheriff Campbell. Also, the Director of our Social Services Department, Yvette Smith, and representing, of course, our Planning Department, Matthew Todd. And we thank you all for being here and sharing with us, and particularly you, Sheriff, and Ms. Smith, what you do every day for the people and citizens of this county. Okay, we will now move on to our first appointment before the board, where Ms. Amy Eisele will please come up and if you will take the podium and discuss Child Abuse Prevention Month.
We did want to make all of you aware that April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and we at SCAN are having several different things through the month to keep it in people's awareness, one of which was yesterday morning in front of the courthouse where we planted one of our pinwheel gardens, which symbolizes a happy childhood, one that every child ought to be able to have. And we had people there who are out in the line of duty every day working to prevent child abuse in Iredell County. And we're wanting to I believe you have a proclamation about it being Child Abuse Prevention Month this month.
Ms. Eisele, thank you very much, and especially for what you and your volunteers do in terms of providing much-needed emotional and even physical assistance to families that are in need, and providing those protections for children and helping them be able to both be equipped to be able to be raised in an environment that's conducive to learning and becoming a solid citizen.
Thank you.
Are there any comments that any members of the Commission would like to make?
Okay. I just wanted to thank Ms. Eisele for what you do. I apologize I couldn't come to your event the other day. I had a couple of children sick. But as most of you know, we have 5 adopted children. I want to just tell you, Ms. Eisele, when we got our first, we had some issues that she helped my wife and I with, and she's been doing great deeds for citizens in Iredell County for a long, long time. And I don't think people understand the importance and grateful, we're grateful of people like her because when we entered into these situations with some of these children, we were in over our head, and people like her benefit citizens in Iredell County trying to help these children. But I just wanted to publicly say thank you, and in any way we can help you, we will. But they do a great job and a great service for our county.
Thank you, Commissioner Hout. The board is going to issue a proclamation, which we will vote on, and I'd like to read that into the record, and for the benefit of our citizens, that there's a proclamation for Child Abuse Prevention Month in Iredell County, North Carolina. Whereas children are vital to our state's future success, prosperity, and quality of life, as well as being our most vulnerable asset. And whereas safe, stable, nurturing homes and communities are needed to foster healthy growth and development for all children. And whereas child abuse and neglect is a community responsibility affecting both the current and future quality of the life of communities. And whereas communities that provide parents with social support, the knowledge of parenting and child development programs, and the concrete resources needed to cope with stress and to nurture their children to ensure that all children grow to their full potential. And whereas effective child abuse prevention strategies are known to succeed when there are partnerships created by citizens, human service agencies, schools, faith communities, healthcare providers, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. Is there a motion to adopt this proclamation?
Mr. Chairman, I would make the motion that we adopt this proclamation to declare April as Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Any further discussion? Motion by Vice Chairman Bowles. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Now, therefore, the Iredell County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaim April as Child Abuse Prevention Month and calls upon citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, elected leaders, and businesses to increase their participation in efforts to support families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening the communities in which we live. Adopted this 4th day of April, 2017. Once again, we want to thank you for what you do every day and every weekend, at night, in responding to the needs of children and families. And, we have this great partnership between volunteer organization, our Department of Social Services, our law enforcement community, our public health department. It's and all the faith communities. It is the community that's investing in these children, and so we thank you and appreciate all you do, and we hope that everyone out there listening will share the fact that our most precious resource. This is just a month in which to really think about how everyone out there can make a difference. So thank you. Moving on, we did have at the pre-agenda meeting a very informative presentation by the ICATS director, Brad Johnson, who provided information about his enterprise-funded agency providing transportation to citizens of Iredell County, Statesville, and Mooresville, and a new express service that is being worked out to be able to take advantage of the toll lanes when they're eventually built, but prior to then, being able to get folks down to Charlotte and back who are working citizens. And so this is an exciting opportunity. Keep your eyes open, and we will publish further details as they become available. Now move on to public hearings, and Mr. Matthew Todd, if you'll please kick these off with item 8.1.
Good evening to the board. The first public hearing we have before us tonight is for the closure of Kirkwall right-of-way. It's a 30-foot right-of-way established in 1977. You can see it on the screen, and it's also in your packets. It comes off of Lakeview Shores. The property owner, over the years, has purchased all the lots that adjoin this right-of-way, and at this time he is requesting the closure. It requires this process to come before you guys for that approval. We've not received any comments on the closure of this. The site was posted notifying anybody nearby of the proposed change. And I'd be happy to answer any questions on this one.
Any questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, I will open the public hearing. I do not have any information about anyone who has signed up to be heard on this matter. I would inquire of anyone in the audience that desires to be heard to please make your wishes known. Not hearing or seeing any, I will close this public hearing and ask if there's a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the request from the planning staff to call for the closure of Kirkwall Place in Mooresville and consider adopting an order to close this road. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. And Mr. Todd, if you'll proceed with item 8.2.
The next request we have before us is a rezoning request. The property is two parcels outlined or highlighted on the screen, currently zoned RO residential office. The applicant's requesting it to be rezoned to highway business. Planning board did vote unanimously to approve the rezoning. It does fit into the 2030 Horizon Plan. Adjacent properties are already zoned commercial. Even though River Highway is expected to be, or it is expected to be widened to increase traffic capacity, so staff also supports this request. That's the land use plan showing corridor commercial just to the east. This area is actually identified high-density residential mixed use. In the mixed use classification, it does allow for commercial uses. Therefore, it does fit the plan. There's an aerial image of the property. And again, planning board and staff are recommending approval of this request. And I'd be happy to answer any questions on this one.
Any questions of Mr. Todd? None. I will go ahead and then open this public hearing. I don't have anyone that has signed up to be heard on this matter. I would inquire of the attendees if anyone would like to be heard. Hearing none, I'll close this public hearing and ask if there is a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve. Motion to recommend in favor of the zoning map amendment and to make a finding that the approval is consistent with the adopted 2030 Horizon Plan and that said approval is reasonable and in the public interest and furthers the goals of the 2030 Horizon Plan because it is in harmony with the area. It is adjacent to other commercially zoned properties.
Motion by Commissioner McNeely. Any further comment? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Todd, if you'll please proceed to item 8.3 on the agenda.
The next is another rezoning request. And again, this property outlined or highlighted on the screen in blue is currently zoned RO as well, residential office. This applicant's requesting it to be rezoned to general business. It's 1 acre in size. The staff does support this because it does fit the 2030 Horizon Plan, and there is commercial zoning directly in front of the property. Planning board did vote 7-0 to recommend in favor of this request. Map of the 2030 Horizon Plan showing the large area as identified as corridor commercial with some low density just to the south. There is an existing residence on the property. And then again, showing the commercial uses across the road. And I'd be happy to answer any questions on this one.
Any questions for Mr. Todd? No questions? I will then open this public hearing. There's no one likewise that has signed up to my knowledge. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this matter? Hearing none, close this public hearing and ask if there is a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would make the motion to recommend in favor of this zoning map amendment and make the finding that the approval of this is consistent with the adoption of the 2030 Horizon Plan, and that the said approval of is reasonable and is in the public interest and furthers the goals of the 2030 Horizon Plan. It's written that it is to be, the corridor is to be commercial designation and is adjacent to other commercially zoned properties, so I feel like it's in order to rezone this.
Motion by Vice Chairman Bowles. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Todd, if you'll proceed to item 7.4.
This is the last rezoning request we have before us this evening. This property outlined in blue, there's actually currently 3 different zoning districts in place. The rear of the property is zoned residential agricultural. There's a general business zoning designation and then a general business conditional use district. The request is to rezone the entirety to a straight GB. Staff does support this. It's in the land use plan as employment center. The adjacent properties are zoned commercial, and it's an expansion of an existing GB district. Planning board did vote unanimously to approve this request as well.
Any questions for Mr. Todd? This time I will open the public hearing. And once again, there's no one that has signed up to be heard on this matter. Is there anyone that would like to be heard that is in attendance tonight? Not hearing of anyone. I will close this public hearing and inquire as to whether there is a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to recommend in favor of the zoning map amendment to make a finding that the approval is consistent with the adopted 2030 Horizon Plan and that said approval is reasonable and in the public interest and furthers the goals of the 2030 Horizon Plan because it is contained with an employment center designation and is adjacent to commercially zoned property.
Motion by Commissioner Norman. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. I would inquire whether or not we need any specific language in item 7.1 other than simply approving the motion. There was a motion to approve item 7.1, but it didn't go into a lot of the detail relative to the Horizon Plan and all that.
It shouldn't have to go in accordance with the Horizon Plan. Matthew, was there on the road closing, there wasn't a resolution or anything, it just needed to be an up or down vote?
Just up or down, and then the document that needs to be signed.
All right. Okay, we now move on to item 8, administrative matters that were appropriate for a consent agenda. These matters were reviewed in detail at the pre-agenda meeting at 5 o'clock this afternoon, which is open to the public, and we invite you to come. Mr. Smith, if you would summarize these.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 8.1 was a request from the Finance Department for approval of a service agreement with Bingham Arbitrage Rebate Services Incorporated for the 2016 GEO bond issue and the limited obligation refunding bond. 8.2 was a request from the Finance Department for approval to apply to the Department of Public Safety for Juvenile Crime Prevention Council discretionary funds and approval of budget amendment number 27 in the amount of $12,865. 8.3 is a request from the Finance Department for approval of the FY 2018 Juvenile Crime Prevention Council funding plan of $286,796. 8.4, a request from administration for approval of budget amendment number 28 in the amount of $15,000 to fund membership in the Lake Norman Regional Transportation Commission. 8.5, a request from the construction project manager for the public safety building for consideration to apply to the city of Statesville for annexation of that building as well as the agricultural center and animal services. 8.6, request from the construction project manager to consider and adopt a contractor construction pre-qualification policy. And 8.7, a request from the clerk to the board for approval of the minutes from the meetings of February 23rd and 24th and March 21st, 2017.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Is there any further discussion on any of these items? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion we accept the consent agenda as approved or as presented.
Motion by Commissioner McNeely. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item 9, there are no announcements of any vacancies occurring on any boards or commissions this evening. Item 10, there are no appointments to any boards or commissions. Item 11, I'm not aware of any unfinished business. Mr. Smith?
None that I'm aware of.
Item 12 is not applicable as it is not a public comment period until the second meeting of the month. Item 13, new business.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to publicly congratulate the University of North Carolina in their national championship win last night, representing the state of North Carolina and the ACC.
Go Heels.
Are they still playing ball?
Moving on to item 14, the county manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Back on the end, at the end of March, I sent you an email just proposing a couple of changes to the budget calendar, the review dates for the commissioners. On May 2nd, you will receive your budget, and the way that our calendar was scheduled was that on May 4th and 16th, we would have budget work sessions. That would have given you a grand total of 2 days to review a $200 million budget. So what I was proposing is that we take a week about and change those dates to May 8th and 9th. That's a Monday and a Tuesday. And I had originally proposed that we do that from 5 to 9. However, we're flexible on that. I think the preference on Tuesday is now 12 to 5. We could do 12 to 5 on both of those days, or we can do one in the evening, one during the day. But that's up to you all and your schedules. I think we can probably get through the budget in those 2 days, especially if we go for about 5 hours each. Hopefully we don't have to go that long, but I think we can get through it. And then we have a secondary date of May 18th, if needed, that we can come back and talk some more.
And that was 11 and 13?
8 and 9.
8 and 9.
Both days from 12 to 5?
Well,
We're going to
You're
need...
talking 9 to,
We were
5 to 9.
Yeah, we were talking 5 to 9 both of those days. We could do 5 to 9 on Monday and then 12 to 5 on Tuesday and maybe not go the whole time.
Not to eat up an entire day in business.
yeah, that would work better for me because I think probably for a couple of us there's actually an event that night on Tuesday night.
And if the 9th does not work, we can move that to a different day. But I'm trying to get this to where we don't have a big break between the work sessions if possible, and hopefully get it knocked out.
So the 8th would be 5 to 9, and the 9th would be 12 to 5.
Yeah.
That would be good.
I'd have to check my calendar, but
I will too, Ron.
okay. I'm okay with the first day, the 8th. And don't have conflict on the other day, then that's fine, but
I'll send something out tomorrow, and we'll see if we can get this wrapped up, hopefully by the end of this week, because we'll have to advertise for it fairly soon and get it on the books.
I don't know how many of y'all go to, Power Cross is actually having their annual fundraiser dinner on the 9th. That's the only thing.
what's Wednesday look like?
I'm flexible on Wednesday.
Wednesday?
I don't know. Y'all see the
Oh,
calendar?
no, usually I'm not. Well, let's just do a little comparing of.
Wednesday's
calendars.
fine. I can do anything on Wednesday.
Okay.
I can make it work.
All right.
We will be losing our finance director for a good bit of that week starting Wednesday, so that won't be able to work for us. I do know that. Could be out of town.
Okay.
But we'll coordinate tomorrow. Second thing that I have is just a quick update on fire funding contracts and contracts. Talked to Kent Green yesterday. Beth and I did, and got some tentative dates and a status report. Fire Association has submitted a copy of the proposed contract to a consultant that they use, and have gotten some comments back. So Kent, hopefully by the end of this week, will be reconvening with some of them to review the comments and continue to move this forward. So trying to keep as much momentum as we can. And then finally, the preliminary date for the first meeting of the schools facilities task force is May 3rd, and that's preliminary at this point, but that's from Dr. Kenny Miller, and it should be located at the CATS facility in Troutman. When I get more information, I will forward that along, but I know that you're interested in that one. That's all I have. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. We've already dealt with the personnel issue closed session. At this time, any further business? All hearts free?
I think so.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Motion to adjourn has been made. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned.
That's a record, isn't it?
Look at that.